Welcome to this week's episode of the Punk Popcast, where we're going to be talking about Escape the Fates, Dying is Your Latest Fashion. Welcome to this week's episode of the Punk Popcast. I am one of your hosts. I am Brad, and I'm here with Jason, our guy Jason. Welcome, Jason. How are you today?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. We kind of had a long sunny day today. I mean, it's weird to say, complain about that in April, but it was a long day. Long day
I
in the sun.
understand completely.
I know you do. But today, like I said, we're going to talk about Escape the Fates, Dying is Your Latest Fashion. This is one of my absolute favorite albums ever. I was introduced to Escape the Fate like way late, like a decade plus late on Escape the Fate. But this album was my introduction to them. When were you introduced to Escape the Fate?
Probably a few months after this came out.
Oh, really?
It was in a weird spot where 18 Visions had broke up, and they kind of like filled that 18 Visions void for me a little bit with how they look and sounded.
Yeah.
So I think it would have been maybe fall 2007 I got into them.
Okay. Yeah, so I had been told about Escape the Fate for a long time, for many, many, many years. I'd heard of them. I'd had people tell me about them. I've actually heard them on Punk Goes, or seen them on Punk Goes Pop albums, but I never actually listened to them on there. And then finally one day I was at work, specifically, I think I'm going to say 2018 is when it was. I was at work and I just needed something to listen to. I was like, you know what? I'm going to check these guys out. And immediately I was like, holy smokes. Fantastic. So I was hooked from the very beginning. But Jason, go ahead and lead us off today with your first selection off of this album.
Oh, what is my first selection off this album? Sorry. Okay, I'm going to go with a song you dislike, but it was the one that got me into the band, and I'll explain why. We're going to go with Situations.
Okay.
So how I discovered them was through the music video on YouTube. I don't know why it came up in my 2007 algorithm, but when I discovered it, it hit so many sweet spots for me visually that I just instantly fell in love with them. I love a band that looks like a rock band to me. And they have a very hair metal, especially on this album, they have a very hair metal 1980s, like 83 Motley Crue Shout at the Devil kind of look going on. Mm-hmm. The video is all but a shot-for-shot recreation of Hot for the Teacher. Nice. They look fantastic. And then musically, it was just on fire for me. Great solos. Innuendo out the wazoo in lyrics. It just hit all the right places for me musically. So I loved it.
So it's funny because this is legitimately my least favorite. One of two songs on this album that are my least favorite. And if I have my head on my shoulders, if I'm paying attention to what's going on, I always skip this song at the beginning because I don't like the intro.
I can understand that.
I don't like the way it starts. It's weird. I don't know. It's just a thing. But if I'm not really paying attention, I get past the intro. I'll listen to it all the way through. Like the rest of the way is good. It's just that intro does not hook me one bit, and I'm just like, ugh, not in the mood. Next, but it's a good song.
It is a fun song.
Yeah, and the thing is, I told you, I was like, no, I don't want that to be our consensus pick because the only thing I could think of was that intro, right? And then I was listening to the album again. I was like, yeah, that is actually a good song because once they get going on it, it's great. The chorus musically is awesome. The way everything goes together, it's Ronnie Radke's voice is awesome, first off. But the tune of that chorus is really good and really fun to sing along with, and the chorus is really what hooks me on it. If I can get to that, I'm going the rest of the way.
And that's no offense to Escape the Fate post Ronnie Radke, but that is a hallmark of him as a songwriter. He he can write really great choruses.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's his shtick. I mean, because he almost does like a metalcore pop kind of sound in general, because he
Yeah.
has these like super poppy choruses surrounded by borderline metal.
Everybody shredding around him.
Right.
but it's funny though, because the first time I saw the album art for this one in particular, I was like, oh yeah, this is like, I wasn't expecting the sound that I got back. I was expecting something much more emo,
Right.
based on based on what I
Right.
saw on the album cover. And that's specifically why I'm like, yeah, we can talk about them on the Punk Popcast, because that is the most emo album cover I've ever seen in my life.
I like that we're dabbling into this style of music, so I'm good with it.
Honestly, like I love this stuff. This is like I said, I was hooked on Escape the Fate as soon as I heard them. And do you mind if I go to the next track?
I'm fine.
Okay, because it was the first song I heard was The Webs We Weave. And that guitar hits in that intro, and I was just like, oh, okay. Here we go. And it was like, it's one of those things where I feel like this track was kind of one of those in between spots where it's like, we're gonna appeal to you with the pop punk that you love, but here's a little bit of metalcore in there with it, which is what we really are, right?
Yeah.
That it was like a good in between spot to get introduced to. And I feel like if this is a band you're interested in listening to, this song and also Situations are great songs. You just gotta get past that intro. Kind of like your gateway drug to to Escape the Fate, right? But no, that, and there's just enough screaming in this song too that I feel like you really get a taste of who they are and what their music is like. But anyway, go ahead.
No, I'm good.
Oh,
I
you're
was
good. All
listening to
right.
you.
You look
Yeah, I
like
was
you were going to say
listening to
something.
you. No, I was just listening to you.
Okay. Very good. Go ahead with your next choice there, Jason.
Oh, that was it for The Webs We Weave?
That's it for The Webs We Weave. Yeah, is that it was the perfect intro to me because it was an in-between spot. That's what I'm saying.
You threw me off so much. Okay.
That's why I thought maybe you had something to say, because that was
No,
it for me.
I thought you weren't done.
No. If I throw to you, I'm done, Jason.
All right. Okay, so we're gonna go with a song that is a bonus track that is not on Spotify. Sadly, I'm gonna go with Makeup.
Yeah, we're gonna have to include the link to YouTube on this one because it's not on Apple either.
I think this is a really great song, and it was one that hooked me from the get-go. Now, I have to actually say, for the first time, I think on this show, that my copy of the album was one I burned off of LimeWire.
Nice,
So,
nice.
So mine was like pieced together. It wasn't like the exact track order. And this was on the one I made because it said it was on the album.
Mm-hmm.
I fell in love with this song instantly. I like the way it sounds. I like the lyrics. It's not super, super dark, but it's just dark enough is how I would put it.
Yeah, I feel like the chorus is where they got their album art from.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah,
which is funny that it's a bonus track, that it wasn't on the original cut, because dying is your latest fashion is a line from a song. I think it's on Situations, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's a line from the song, but I feel like the album art actually comes from the chorus of this song that says, "As makeup runs down your cheeks." If anybody who has seen it, it's just a girl from her nose down, and you see mascara running down her cheeks and lipstick kind of messed up. But I feel like that's where that comes from, is from that line in that song. So, but no, it's a great song. It's a good listen, and it kind of has this, I feel like it does have the same kind of feel as the rest of the album, but I don't feel like there's any two songs that sound alike, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. And I almost wonder, because it was a bonus track, if it was a tease of what would have came next had Ronnie not been kicked out of the band.
Yeah, I could see that. Because I've actually had a few thoughts about that with other bands. Like we talked about the bonus tracks on Fall Out Boys from Under the Cork Tree. And
Yeah.
I thought those were going to be a tease as to what was coming next, but that could not have been farther from the truth. Like they totally went a 180 based on what those.
Don't get me started on Infinity on High.
But we're going to talk about Fall Out Boy next week, so tune in for that. But
spoiler teaser.
Yeah, that's what we call a tease. But with that, let's go ahead and take a quick break. When we get back, we have a few more tracks to talk about on this album.
9+ Us presents the Baseball Together podcast with your hosts, Blackjack Brad and Kansas City Little Big Briggy Blue Eyes. Weekly episodes for the entire baseball family where we talk all baseball all the time. Available on all your favorite podcast apps and on YouTube. Come join our baseball family where we do baseball together.
The Another Sports Podcast is the home of sports talk for everyone. Every other week you can catch David and Jason as they talk about all things sports, from current events to classic moments and everything in between. You can find the Another Sports Podcast on Anchor.fm, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Podcast Addict, and more. Please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review.
Welcome back to the Punk Popcast. Today we're talking about Escape the Fates, Dying is Your Latest Fashion. We have our consensus pick for this album. It was going to be Situations, but I said, nope, can't get past the intro most of the time, so we're not going to do that one. Instead, we have another great song. This was a single, right, Jason?
Yes, it was.
Okay, so this is another popular track off this album. It's called Not Good Enough for Truth or Cliche. For me, the hook on this song was, like we talked about, great choruses. It was the chorus.
Yeah.
And it's very, like, it's super easy to sing along with. It's easy to sing along with loud if you're in the car by yourself or with your friends, whatever, however you roll. And Ronnie Radke really enunciates in this chorus. Like
he does.
So it's easy to pick up the words and to learn them the first couple times through, so you can sing through, which I think is something that that they really benefit from in this album, right? And especially with this song, I think this is a perfect song to pick as a single.
I agree, and I think it goes back to I think Ronnie's just he's conscientious of what he's saying, and the enunciation on the words does add a layer of almost. It makes the words more powerful in the chorus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and I always thought this was a really crazy chorus, the way that it was like written and put together. Sitting in this room playing Russian roulette, finger on the trigger to my dear Juliet. Like, so, confession, I am a huge Shakespeare nerd, and that line in particular really caught my attention because of what happens at the end of Romeo and Juliet, and how it ties in that it was a little bit like Russian roulette, what was going on, right? That's like, yeah. It's like, oh, I'm dead. Oh no, now I'm dead. Oh, but she's not really dead. Oh, but now she's dead. You know, it's one of the most comical endings to a tragedy you'll ever see because of how it played out. But it's also so sad, right? And I could see like him appealing to that with these lyrics, and it's really well put together. That's one thing that really appealed to me.
A very good song. And fun fact, I found a video while we were researching this album. I found a video someone posted that they made in 2005 for this song. And it's funny seeing Ronnie with short hair and like one tattoo.
That would be. I'll have to look that up.
It's very jarring.
I can see that 100%. That's funny. But so that's our consensus pick. That's Not Good Enough for Truth and Cliche. Now I'm going to go ahead with our next pick. I'm going to go with, this is one of the last few songs on the album. I don't think the next song, honestly, I'm not sure if the next song is a bonus track or not based on the album that I listened to on Apple Music, but I'm going to say that this song would be an outstanding way to go out. A great way to end an album because of the flow and the pace of it. But did I say the name of the song?
You did not.
Friends and Alibis. There we go. I almost did, and then I didn't. But anyway, so Friends and Alibis is the next track. I really like the way the chorus, obviously the lyrics of the chorus, and again, the pace of it and the cadence. So hold your head high, or so. Let me start that over again. So hold your head, hold it up high. The way he sings that, it's like, God, the only way I can describe it, it's just perfect, right? The melody of it and the pace of it, the way he's so hold your head, hold it high. The way that he goes through it is just like, it's awesome. It sounds so good. And then he goes into, here's to the friends that were alibis, and then he goes in the rest of the chorus. But man, it's another one that's so easy to sing along with.
So fun fact, this is my favorite song on the album, so I'm really glad you picked it.
Oh, nice.
Because I was going to pick it had you. No, I'm fine. Because I love this album. This to me goes back to how Ronnie writes a chorus, and it shows based on the amount of success he's had with Falling in Reverse, where they've actually had songs on the pop charts, which is really hard for a rock band to do nowadays.
It's
and there
really
were the
hard.
few ones to do it outside of the Foo Fighters and like Shinedown.
Yeah.
But he writes songs for arenas. And he was writing songs for arenas before he was playing arenas.
And that's one of the things that I really like, is that these songs play much bigger than they are, or what they were originally. I guess they're meant to be bigger than what they started. He's somebody obviously who had a vision, and I get what you're saying, because I maintain, I've said it at least a dozen times on the Baseball Together podcast, my other weekly podcast. That Escape the Fate, and granted, it's not a song by Ronnie, but it's an Escape the Fate song, I maintain is the greatest song for a baseball closer to enter to. There is no choice better than Until We Die. I will die on that hill, Jason. Absolutely. Because the way that it's played and the way that it carries. And I think that there are a lot of songs on this album that we could use in our next walk-up song episode.
I would like to join in on one of those episodes.
Maybe we'll do it, because we always do it before the All-Star break. That's what we decided to do. So maybe we'll have you come on the next one. But anyway, all right, go ahead.
Because I could talk music all day.
I know. I think it would be a lot of fun. I think obviously we could carry over what we have here and carry it over there. So I think it'd be great. Go ahead with your next track.
Okay, so my last one, I guess we would consider another ballad. A darker ballad compared to, I'm going with Cellar Door. So the slower songs in this album are dark. It is definitely, it doesn't hit you hard right away until that chorus.
Mm-hmm.
And I've supposedly one of the themes from this song was Donnie Darko, which is interesting, because I did not pick up that vibe until I read about it.
Huh. I could see that. Yeah. So this is another one of, it's funny that we're like so opposite on so many of our picks, because this is one of the ones that's lower on my list, just because of what I'm looking for from Escape the Fate. And you're going to really get a peek from my next track, because it's my absolute favorite song on the album. But no, it's a really good one. I do still like it a lot, because the album top to bottom is great. But one of the big takeaways for me is you feel the tone of the song based on the melody of the guitars mostly.
Yeah.
Is what I feel like, is that they do a really good job of setting the tone for a song by the way they play their guitars.
And their guitarists are very good.
They are. The original lineup was outstanding, and they continue to be amazing. Absolutely outstanding guitarists. And which is the metal side of music, like the metalcore side, like I feel like that's where you're gonna get the guys who really shred. Whereas in the mainstream pop punk side, I'm sure they can, but they don't. Right?
I would say Chad from Newfound Glory is one of the few who could, but doesn't.
Yeah. Because so like I'm a huge Homegrown fan, and you get tiny little doses of it in Homegrown where you're like, oh yeah, they could. And same thing with Rufio. Every once in a while they'll put it on display, but it's like
Yes.
it's just a taste, right? It's like, oh yeah, you could take that way farther if you wanted to. But you get all of it with Escape to Fate. They just melt your face with it. And it's awesome. But anyway, you ready for my last song? You ready for my last track?
I am.
Okay, my last track is my absolute favorite song from the album, and probably from, oh my gosh, I'd say probably one of my top 5 Escape to Fate songs. There's No Sympathy for the Dead. This song comes out and punches you in the face and continues to punch you in the face until you literally cannot take it anymore, and then it finally slows it down at the very end. But so I have a funny story for this song. So for those of you who don't know, I have a 5-year-old daughter who is nonverbal autistic, but she loves music, loves music so much. Like right now, she's very into "Shake It Off" by Taylor Swift, and she'll sing it for you, and it's just hilarious and adorable. But anyway, she was 2 at the time when I was listening to this album a lot, like when I first discovered it. And we used to just go for drives. My wife would be working on a Saturday. I'd put the kids in the car. We'd just go for a drive around town, listen to music. And I was like, let's do a little experiment. So I put on Escape the Fate for the kids. And my son, he thought it was great. He thought it was fun. What I was not expecting, though, is that my daughter was clapping her hands and kicking her feet at the intro to this song.
That's awesome.
Yes. So I kept it on. She continued to clap and kick her feet because I think it was the beat really more than anything. Because I don't know, I can't remember the drummer's name off the top of my head, but the way he just like crushes the toms when he plays, especially in this song, I'm sure that had a lot to do with it. But anyway, that intro though, like I said, punches you in the face, and it's outstanding. It hits so hard, and it is one of my favorite intros to any song that anybody's ever played, ever.
I like that you emphasize that.
Ever, Jason, ever. What do you think about this song, Jason?
No, I like this song. I can't add anything to this, man.
So let me tell you this, is that this song is going to be in our next walk-up episode, like walk-up music episode. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm not going to tell you where it's going to be, who it's going to be with, but it's going to be on that episode, and it's going to be fun to mess around with because it's awesome. It's just so good. But anyway, so before we wrap up, Jason, what would you consider Escape the Fate on our 0 to 100 essential pop punk scale? I know that it's different, right? It's different from other pop punk albums that we talked about, especially, and it's on one end of the spectrum of the genre, right?
Right.
So where would you put them on 0 to 100?
So, and I was thinking about this, and I have to give 2 separate ratings. As a metalcore album, I would give this a 95. As a pop punk album, I would give this a 75. No offense to it. It has the poppy choruses. They're very sing-along choruses. But at its heart, this is a metalcore album. And it's a great metalcore album.
It is a great metalcore album. And so I was introduced to metalcore in high school. And I was kind of like, okay. But I got here and I was like, now this is what's for me. Right. And actually, I think you're spot on, to be completely honest with you. That metalcore album, it's just about as good as it gets. Right. And then, but as far as pop punk goes, it's not necessarily pop punk. But if you're going to explore the genre, you still have to get it in there because it's really good and it has a lot of emo undertones. But I think you're absolutely right on with it. So I'm going to go 95/75 based on our ratings. And take which one you want. It's really, really, really good. For those of you who know this album, know Escape the Fate. And the thing that's funny is that, like, when I was first introduced to him, I was kind of like, oh, it's a nice small band. Then I did my research. I was like, no, they're not a small band. I'm sure just about everybody who listens to this will know who Escape the Fate is, because they're not just like a small, cute little band from Vegas. They're enormous, like way bigger than I ever imagined at the time. So, but let us know what you think. Reach out to us on the Twitter machine at Punk Popcast. Jason is nice enough to run that for us. So if you reach out and tweet us, he'll be the one who'll respond. But you can also reach me on Twitter at Jojo Cornrow. That's at JojoCornrow. And Jason, what is your personal Twitter?
I'm at xjasondag.x on the Twitter machine. And I want to give a quick shout out to a guy who comments on a lot of our tweets. He's a gentleman from England. His Twitter handle is at Steedews, Stedews. Big shout out to him for listening and interacting with us. We really appreciate it, and we appreciate you listening.
Yeah, we do. Anybody who hops on and listens, we really do appreciate it. It's what keeps us going every single week with this, and we're getting ready to wrap up season 2. So we're gonna try to get some new and fun and interesting things ready for season 3. But in the meantime, we have a couple more episodes, and we'll catch you next time.